Hi, everyone. Karen Dubs here, Flexible Warrior Yoga, Health, and Wellness. And if you've been following me for any amount of time, you know I haven't done a New Year's resolution in over 10 years. And that is because of this man that I'm super excited to introduce to you today. This is Jimmy Page. He is the co-author of an amazing book called One Word That Will Change Your Life. He's also authored several other books, by the way, that are all amazing. He's an empowerment coach, a leadership coach, a keynote speaker, and an all-around inspiration. And when I think of greatness, I think of this man right here, Jimmy Page. So welcome, Jimmy. Thank you so much for chatting about One Word with us today.
You bet. Hey, thanks for that intro. That's, we go back a long time. And it was all around wellness, all around fitness, all around high performance. And so it's a pleasure to be on with you today.
Yeah. And it's nice to have this history, and I think of you often through the years. You know, it's a blessing that you cross paths with certain people in your life, right? Mm-hmm. And some of them stick and some of them not so much. But you and Evilise both were such a blessing. So I am honored to have, to circle back with you now after, I don't know how many years it's been that we worked together, probably 18 plus.
Oh my gosh.
So let's
don't
talk
say
about
it.
So this, I know, the time goes so fast. So we're going to talk about one word today. This will be about a half an hour talk, approximately. I would encourage everyone to silence your phones and focus, because this conversation can change the course of your year, and which could then have a positive effect on other aspects of your life. So focus. Jimmy is, like I said, a leadership coach, and he's all about living with purpose and passion and power, and he really is a voice to be heard. So silence your phones and pay attention. Okay, Jimmy. So to start with, I know I've been doing this for quite a while, and I think I mentioned to you I'm struggling a little bit with a word this year.
Yes.
But even if people already have their word, or if they're struggling, you're going to walk us through the process and also help kind of find ways to make this word stick a little bit more, because resolutions don't stick, right, often.
Yeah. I mean, that really is the nexus for this idea, was the idea that a friend of mine, Dan Britton, my co-author, we were doing life together. And every single year we would get together and do the New Year's resolution. We looked at the new year with a sense of possibility and optimism. And I still do that today, probably more so. But I remember back then we would get together, and I wish I had the list now, because the list was so extensive about all the things that we were going to get done for that year. And I'm telling you, and you know this to be true, we failed. I mean, we failed just like everyone else fails with New Year's resolutions, because they're all centered around things that you're going to do. And what we discovered was the power of focusing on a single one-word theme for the year, which focused more on who you were going to become rather than what you were going to get done. And that was the game changer. It was all about life change from the inside out. We really believed, and we saw it happen by focusing in on that single word. We saw life change in every dimension. And then the things that we did and accomplished were amplified because of that focus. So you're right. We needed something that would stick, that would last more than 90 days, and something that we could remember long term.
Wow. And isn't it interesting that it's almost like disempowering to have that long list? Because if people like you and me, who are achievers and doers, and we're not getting things done, then a lot of people aren't. And then it makes you feel bad.
Yes.
You feel sort of disempowered then. So this is the opposite. It flips it all on its head. It's positive, because I feel like a lot of times New Year's resolutions anyway, their goals, that's one thing. The resolutions are sort of negative by nature.
Yeah.
What's wrong with us, right? But the one word is focused on something positive.
Yes.
I love that so much. So I know that there are, I want to say it's 6 different sort of life areas that sort of come into play with choosing your word. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I mean, I think these are the 6 dimensions of life that are common to every human being. And everything starts with your mind, right? We talk about your mental life, your emotional, your relational, your physical, your spiritual, and your financial. So those 6 pieces are all integrated too, right? So we tend to compartmentalize things, but the truth about the way we're made and wired is they all impact each other. But it all starts with the mental side of things, right? You know, there's a proverb or a kind of a biblical truth that says that if you want to be transformed, it starts with your thinking, the renewing of your mind. And we know this, right? Every thought is linked to a feeling, to an emotion, every time. I could give you a thought right now, and it would produce an emotion in you because you're linking that thought to some kind of experience that you've had. And then once the thought ties to your emotions, then it produces an action. You know, you will take action based upon what you're thinking and what you're feeling. So you've got to control the mental side of the game. You know, you've got to win the mental battle, and that's the starting point for all life transformation.
Yeah. You know, as a health coach, very similarly, we call it primary food. When I was in health and nutrition school, health coaching and nutrition school, and they call it primary food. And that would confuse people because they thought it was it's about what we eat. And of course, it's exercise and all these things. And that is a key component. But the primary food is really what you're talking about. It's the financial. It's the, are you getting quality sleep? Are you hydrated? You can do all the exercise in the world, but if you're not sleeping at night and you're dehydrated, then it's not going to work. So it's similar to what you're saying. So, I of course completely resonates with me. And so how does that play into the three elements? We might want to talk next about the three elements of discovering your word.
Yeah. Well, focus drives action, right? So whatever you focus on grows. You know, Tony Robbins says, where focus goes, energy flows. You know, it's kind of a fun statement. I love Tony. He's inspirational for sure. But the truth is that, you know, focus drives action. So when I narrow the focus to a single word, and I start with the way I'm thinking, right? Every thought is a seed. It's a seed planted in soil somewhere, and whether or not if that's a positive seed, then you're going to get positive fruit. If that's a negative seed, you're probably going to have negative fruit. You know, so the point is you've got to control your thinking. But the beauty of this process, it's a very simple process which brings life change in all 6 of those areas. It's look in, look up, and look out. And each one of those steps, you know, we made a simple, powerful concept. We tried to keep it as simple as possible. And one of our co-authors, John Gordon, who is a prolific speaker and writer, one of the top 10 speakers in the world, he helped us to make that even simpler than it was. And because of that, now it's super powerful. So someone like you started the top of the show by saying you're struggling to find your word this year. That's beautiful because so many people do struggle, especially people that have done this before, because a lot of times they don't follow the process. I get so comfortable with this thinking, oh, I know how to do this. I'll pick my word for the year. And what I coach everyone to do is go back to this simple 3-step process, really play it out, and then I believe then you'll have tremendous clarity on the word that you're chosen for this year.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I was thinking about you as I was walking my dogs this morning and this conversation we were going to have. And I thought, you know, when I struggle, I reach out to a friend typically or an expert.
Yes.
You know, and in this case, I have both. And so in you helping me through this process, hopefully will help other people too, because you're right. This is my 11th year of doing it. Yeah. I typically I feel like, and I'm very much an inward, I silence my mind a lot and look inward and quiet my mind and journal and meditate and breathe and do all the things. But this year I have just a lot of words that are calling to me. A lot of times I'll get a sign, I'll feel it and I'll know for sure. I'm like, this is my word. And I have a long list of words, but I get that clarity. Yeah. And this year I've been feeling like I just wanted to wait. That's all I can say. Yeah. And the beauty of that is led us to this conversation. Yes. Because you all at getoneword.com, by the way, is where you can go to get more, resources to support your journey and, finding your word. But, I was following along with the series, and I thought, it would be such a wonderful opportunity to reconnect and have this conversation.
Yeah.
And so because of my struggle, I guess what I'm saying, because of the struggle, is what brought us to this conversation, which is perfect.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of people are where you are. And I've been there before too. In fact, a couple of years ago, I decided, I'm one of the co-creators of this idea, which isn't a new idea, I don't believe, but the way we're doing it, I think, is very unique and simple. But a couple of years ago, I had to go back through the process because I was relying on my own sense of intuition, sense of I know what I need. I kind of can pick this word out for next year, but that really isn't the purity of the process. The purity of the process is you unplug from the noise and busyness like you do so often, and you really contemplate a handful of questions. One is, what do I need most? What's in the way? What's preventing me from becoming my very best person, my very best version of myself, a lot of people say, and what needs to go in my life? And then I ask this question. This is a qualifier that's actually not in the book. And at the end of the first step of looking in, being introspective, I ask if there was one single word that I could focus on this year that would bring the greatest positive life change within me, what would that word be? That helps to kind of separate the good words from the really good words. And as a man of faith, I'm looking for a word that God will communicate to me. So not everyone has the same faith, and that's the beauty of this process, is you go through this looking in process. But for me, I'm looking for a word, I believe I've been created with purpose, and that my purpose is discoverable, and that God wants to do certain things in my life along the way to refine me into the person that I'm made to be so that I can do the greatest good for those around me, that I can love better, that I can encourage people more, and that I can make a bigger difference. So following that process is really, really important.
Yeah. One of the questions I had for you, because early on I felt like I got a little bit of I would say a sign. I just look for insight and things that resonate with me. And a couple weeks ago, it usually starts around my birthday, which is in December. I usually sort of start to, because my birthday's in December and it's the end of the year, I'm reflecting back, I'm looking forward, and it happens to be my birthday. I start to kind of set the intention of being open to getting some sort of feedback from a higher version of myself, right? And on that particular day, my birthday, I put a necklace on that I hadn't worn for a long time, probably 15 years.
Wow.
And in that moment, I thought, that's it. That's it. It's make old things new again.
Wow.
It's that new beginnings sort of, because at this phase in my life, and we don't have to go down this road, but any other woman in their late 40s to early 50s understands what I'm talking about. You're just in this place of, you almost like this rebirth or something like that, this renewal. So that's kind of where I'm headed. But what I wanted to know, there's a question buried in here.
Yeah.
I wanted to know, can you choose two words? I know it's one word. I get it. But if it was new beginning. I had someone else ask me about let go. And there's other people that can't narrow down, so they have two words like mindfulness and strength or something completely unrelated. So what's your answer to that?
Okay, you're not going to like my answer.
It's all good.
You're not.
I will like it. I can't not like your answer.
Look, you can be a rebel and you can break the rules. There are some rule breakers out there. I will tell you this. It is designed to be one single word, and it's designed to be a single chapter in your story. So if you think of your life as every single year is a chapter in your book, in the story of your life, choosing one single word narrows the focus to a point where the life change that is intended for you happens. And I think even splitting it into two. Now, yours is new beginning, so that's kind of like it's a qualifier, right? But I would suggest new 100% fixes that. It's simpler, it's more pointed. But we say one single word, experience the life change, look for the life change that's coming. Have a positive expectation for that year around the single word. And then next year, if you want to choose another word, one that you thought you wanted this year as well, choose it for next year. You have time. Yeah. And so I would just encourage everyone to get one word. I will say this. I'll give you one caveat. When this book came out, when our book finally came out, I think it was 2013, that year, my word was life, okay? But what no one knows is the conversation behind the scenes with my buddies, the authors, was I wanted my word to be life-giving. And oh my gosh, it was a brawl. I'm like, it's one word, life-giving. You just slur it. You connect it. And then I'm like,
hash or dash.
Hyphenate it, right?
Yeah, hyphenate.
And I took so much flack. They're like, the year the book's coming out, you're going to break the rules? And I was like, all right, fine. So I went with life.
I already knew the answer to this actually because I've been following along for quite a while. This was a question for the masses, and because I had people that couldn't join us live, and I knew that was a question of theirs. I knew the answer to that. But what I do typically is I will research other words and their definitions. And so renew was one of my words. There's a lot of RE words sort of on my list. Renew is one of them. New is cool too. Yeah. Everybody likes something new, right? But renew, I think, suits better because it sort of has this feeling of, again, taking old and giving it a new life.
Yes. Well, I'm going to confirm that word for you because Ivelisse went through a similar process, similar stage of life as you, and she had a handful of words on the table, right? And they all were re-words, interestingly enough.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I have chills right now thinking about it, actually. So she was contemplating between a handful of words, and I'll throw out a couple: refresh, restore, renew. She was contemplating rest. But I just want to say to you, she chose restore. This is very interesting. She couldn't choose between restore and rest until she discovered that rest is the front end of restore. And now she basically gets a 2-for-1. And that's the way things happen for my wife. She's so in tune to God. Her relationship is very special with God. And this is what happens to her. But I get to be the one who brings encouragement to you now to confirm, I believe, the word renew. And I get paid to do this. So this is what I do. I can help you with your words. So I think it's renew. I think it'll be a fantastic year.
Wow. Thank you, Jimmy. I love that. I mean, it has been something that I've had in my heart, and I always try to just be open to receive, and it's I feel like I've had little symbols like butterfly stuff, for example, which is a symbol, and this necklace, I'm wearing it right now, actually, that I pulled out on my birthday was a symbol at the beginning of a new part of my life as well.
Wow.
And so that's what sort of where this all came from.
Yeah. Well, you can tell, like the butterfly. Okay, so you and Ivelisse are very similar. Very similar. She gets a lot of symbolism from nature, from being outside, from butterflies, from, I was just thinking, there's a handful of other things that always tie meaning for her. Her entire ministry of Believe Big, which is a ministry that helps cancer patients and their families find their path to healing, Believe Big, it all launched out of the sunflower. And the sunflower became a symbol of life. It always keeps its face toward the sun, which I believe is, a sign of possibility and life. And so it really is remarkable the way you all intuit, if you will, where you have this intuition around nature and around the direction for your life. Pretty cool.
Yeah. It's sometimes a curse. And Ivelisse this might resonate with her too, just because I'm sensitive. I'm very sensitive. And so that can also get me into trouble when I get in a place of overwhelm, and I get overwhelmed easily, and and that's why I need quiet time, and that's probably why she needs rest and restore.
Yes.
And so it is interesting that we probably are on a very similar, and this might be some others that are watching,
Yeah.
it might resonate with you as well, depending on the phase of life that you're in. But that leads me to another question, and this has happened to me. Can I use, I'm not saying this for my personal, I know the answer, but can I use someone else's word? This word resonates with me.
Yeah.
Someone's watching and they're like, oh yeah, I need to renew too. I'm going to use that word.
Oh, yeah.
What do you say to that?
Oh, 100%. I mean, I think everyone discovers their words in different ways. And so I've been on calls where there'll be 30 people and they'll all share their word. And by the end, someone will have said, well, I thought my word was going to be this. But man, when I heard Susie talk about her word, it just spoke to me. I knew in that moment that was the word. So I would just say that's part of the discovery, right? Is you are waiting for your heart to come to life around something. You know, so I would say yes. If somebody heard you speaking about renew, or they hear me speaking about warrior or unstoppable or execute or whatever it is, and they go, oh yeah. I mean, this is so good. I got a text from a friend this morning who said, hey, what's your word for the year? And I said, well, my word is execute. And he said, oh my gosh, this is unbelievable. I was wrestling between two different words, and execute summarizes both of those words. Execute is my word. So I would just say,
wow.
Yes, absolutely you can do that.
So because I think something kind of came to mind as the geese are sort of still flying south, and they always fly in this motion because they're catching the wind from the leader, right? And so maybe your role or my role as a health coach and a leadership coach is to carve that path so that we can, help inspire others to be on that journey.
Yes.
And, also I feel like there are sometimes like universal needs. And those of us who are in tune with what those needs are, like for me right now, unity was on my list, by the way, because I feel like the planet needs a little bit more unity.
To say the least. To say the least.
To say the least, correct. But I'm sure I'm not alone in that, and so choosing unity would, of course, be a wonderful thing as well. I just don't know that that's where I am personally this year. I've been working on that for the last 3 years, honestly, and I'm tired of outward stuff.
Yes.
I need to come in a little now. It's time to, I'm sure that you can relate to that too.
Yeah.
But there's this, do you feel like there's, like, for those of us who are in tune, there's this universal theme that sometimes is necessary, and you're in tune with that?
Yeah, I've always marveled when I've seen, so from a kind of a spiritual perspective, I've always marveled when I've seen pastors on different ends of America or around the world, from different denominations or areas of focus, kind of talking on the same themes. I'm always like, how are they coordinating this? And I believe that there are these coordinated messages that if we're sensitive to them, I do believe that they're important, because it is what we need right now. So I do think that there is a bigger sense of purpose and a bigger sense of need. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. So we're going to need to probably, if we're going to keep it under 30 minutes, we're going to need to start to wind down with the look in. I feel like we just covered that we spent a good amount of time talking about that. What are the other two components? And then if people want to find out more, obviously where to get your book, and the journal is of interest to me specifically because I have your book. I don't have anything in my possession. All of your books are with other people, because when I have a good book, that's what I do. I share it.
Yeah. And I tear it up. I write notes and I tear it up. But you want me to go through the next two steps?
Yes, please.
Would love that. So looking up, so once you've kind of taken a deep dive inside, then we take a broader look up. And, all three of the authors on this, me, Dan, and John, we're all men of faith. We all are Christians, and we have a particular faith view. But regardless of that, what we've seen is this concept works regardless of where you're coming from a spiritual sense. And that's kind of cool. We've launched this in school districts with thousands of kids thousands of administrators. We've been on campuses with companies as big as Intel and as small as, your local State Farm agency. The cool thing is this is a universal idea. And what we do is this is the step of plugging in and listening. It's this step. So the first step, you unplug and ask certain questions. The second step is you plug in. And for us as people of faith, we plug into our relationship with God. Other people will turn into intuition or whatever that is for them. But what I love about this step is it's kind of widening your view. The lens in step 1 is narrow on my life. The lens on step 2 is bigger picture. Can I make a bigger impact on the world around me? Can I live in such a way as to contribute to the greater good, not just my own benefit? And you know this, the most satisfying life, in fact, I would say the only satisfying life, is a life that is lived serving others, benefiting others, blessing others. If I'm down, the first thing I do is I go cheer somebody else up. And in cheering somebody else up, I come back to life. If I'm depressed, I go serve somebody where I'm going to get nothing in return. And you know what it does? It feeds my soul. So this second step is all about feeding your soul, so to speak. And it's really listening, what do I need most? But if there was a word that I could focus on this year that would be for the greatest good, then I start journaling those words. And that turns an inside kind of self-serving type of process into a much bigger unselfish process, and that's the beauty of step 2. And then you listen, and you take the words from step 1 and the words from step 2, you look for patterns, and if there is an obvious pattern and there's a word that captures it, that's probably going to be the word. And I'll just give you a little caveat. Some people think they have to go into a closet or into a dark room and, do this phase. I'll do this phase running on the treadmill or more specifically riding on my bike. I get the most clarity when I'm active physically. Other people will be. They'll be sitting at their desk doing a study, and it'll come to them there. John Gordon one year was doing a polar plunge. I laugh every time I say that because it was in Florida. I'm not sure you can do a polar plunge in Florida, but nonetheless. But he got his word doing a polar plunge. And so I would just say that's the essence of step 2. And we really believe that's where you're going to discover your word.
Wow. Okay, that's incredible. Yeah. And then step 3.
Yep. Step 3 is the magic of one word. It's where you tell those people around you that are most important to you, your stretch team, the relationships that matter most to you. You tell them the process you've gone through. You tell them the word you've selected. And most importantly, you tell them why you've selected that word. And then you have a conversation. And you might encourage them to go through the process as well. And then in addition to that, every year, we have a tradition with our family, the kids and all of us get together, and we paint our one words on a canvas, on an 8x10 canvas, and we put those paintings with the words up in our kitchen so they become ongoing conversation points. So they stay front and center. We never lose sight of them. I do things like I'll get a band, like you can see on here, Unstoppable. That was one of my words a couple years ago. And that's kind of directed a whole bunch of things in my life, actually, including this Be Unstoppable, company that I've got going here. But so I will put it wherever I need to put it to constantly be reminded by it. And then I think one of the coolest additions to this is the one-word journal. And the one-word journal just came out about a month ago, 2 months ago. It was in November. And we kept getting people asking us, man, do you have a journal, someplace where we can write down, stay focused and write down our thoughts about ways we want to see life change. And that's the beauty of that journal. So that's the live out phase. And then you're going to see it come to life inside of you and as you impact others.
Yes. I love it. I definitely am going to order one of the journals because that's new for me. I haven't used that yet, but I wholeheartedly believe that is how, like what I always say, you take yoga off the mat. You can do yoga, but it's about taking it into the world then. And you don't just get to do the strength and the flexibility and the balance and the peace and the love on your mat. You actually have to live it. It's the same concept, right? Last year I had a health coaching group in January, and we did vision boards. And
Yes.
this is last year's, because I still feel like I got 1 foot in last year and 1 foot in this year. I'm not quite I haven't transitioned just yet. I think
Yes.
today is going to help me. Well, I know today will.
Yeah.
But the vision board, I kept at my desk, and that was super empowering. I'm like you. I like, if I'm not a bracelet person really, because I don't know, it gets in my way when I'm typing. But a necklace or some sort of symbol. Do you ever do also, I remember one year, and this is one of my favorite words, by the way, was dance, which is a word I struggled with too, because I was resisting it. But then when I committed to it, it was my favorite word. I think because it was like actionable. Like I knew that I could sign up for dance classes and I could dance every day. And it was like something that I could physically do that made me feel really good and connected. So that one was cool. But what I was going to say is, in addition to the vision board or the painting or the jewelry, having like a fight song, like I don't know if you've noticed on Instagram, I keep using the Unstoppable. When I tag you, I'm using Unstoppable.
Nice. Let's go.
But do you ever do that? Do you ever have like a playlist or?
Yes. Oh, 100%. You should see my Spotify list right now. The Year of Unstoppable was my theme song. I mean, there's a bunch of different songs out there called Unstoppable, but there was one in particular, I've forgotten the artist, but and I listened to it all. It's a pump-up song. It's like, all right, let's go, be unstoppable. I did that. I tied it to Scripture. Like I would find areas in the Bible that I could, that's a verse that pertains to that. Like for nothing is impossible for those who believe. Okay, well, that makes me unstoppable. Okay, I believe. What's cool, too, is we launched this in school districts. We've launched it with teams. I've gone in with lacrosse teams, basketball teams, where they write their words on the basketball, or they write, even better, they write it on their helmet, their word and their number. And some of my greatest memorabilia is a basketball with a team, all of the words from that team, or a helmet. I have a baseball helmet from TCU. I've got a lacrosse helmet from Liberty University. So there's a lot of ways for teams and individuals to remember that word. One of my favorites, and I know we're over by a couple minutes, but one of my favorites was a school district in Texas. They allowed the kids, now remember there are 8,000 kids in this district, Midlothian. They allowed the kids to pull the ceiling tiles out of the ceiling, paint their word on the ceiling tile, put the tiles back in, and when you walk down, this picture's in the book, so you've got to get the one word book. Everyone who's listening has to get it. But in there, they had all their words across the ceiling, and those kids came to life. They were so excited to tell everyone what their word was, and the teachers would describe it as just a magical year because the kids were so excited and positive throughout the year. So there you go.
It is when you get that feedback and you feel so connected to it, it is so, like, I would get chill. I remember one year I had the word spirit was my word. And I was at church with my mom, and this is the church that I grew up going to in a small little town, right? And I love going. If I'm going to go with, a specific person, my mom's the one that I want beside me. And I looked up in the church, and there was this big thing on the thing that said spirit, and I was like, oh!
It's my word.
That's my word. I knew it, but I already knew it before that. But that was it makes you feel just so alive and so in the flow.
Yes.
That you're at the right place at the right time doing the right thing.
Yes. And that's the way life is designed to be, right? I mean, I think about it, in my relationship with God, it's all about being fully alive. It's about not being diminished in any way. In other words, I'm not weighed down by the regrets of the past. I'm not worried and anxious and afraid of the future. I can enjoy right now. And in your case, you can be renewed right now. Even in the middle of chaos, you can experience renewal. Even in the middle of, whatever your circumstances are, we're made to be fully alive. And I think that is when life is joyful. And as you said, it's kind of like you're in the flow.
Yeah. Well, there's no better time for everybody to feel that, because I feel like the last few years have got people very off track and very afraid.
Yes.
And everyone just needs to feel empowered and confident and fearless and move forward. And get back in the flow. you know?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
so I know we are running a little bit over late, but I did because I want to bring this full circle because fitness and wellness is what originally brought us together.
Yes.
I wanted to just, and because it's New Year's and always people have some sort of fitness goal, typically.
Yes.
What is, do you have like something that you're doing this year that's a little bit different? Do you have some sort of insight or intuition on fitness stuff?
Yeah, I would say it's interesting. I spent my whole life helping people set goals, and goals are great. You know, repeat it. Goals are great, right? But commitments are better than goals. When I make a commitment to something, I've made a decision, and a decision by definition means I've cut off all other options. This is what I'm doing. And as a person of integrity, that keeps me going. So this year, my word is execute. You know, get it done. That's kind of what execute means. And the interesting thing is, the program that I selected this year to help me execute and to develop the mental toughness that I need to execute is called 75 Hard. Now, 75hard.com, that's the site. It's a guy named Andy Frisella. He is very edgy. He is not necessarily, I mean, you have to buckle up if you're going to listen to him. He's probably going to offend you a little bit, maybe, probably. But I don't care about any of that. What I care about is the program. And I can spit out the bones, right? Take the meat, spit out the bones, so to speak. But this program has been life-changing in just, this is my 10th day in the program. You do the same things every day for 75 days. And in that process, you basically create mental toughness, discipline, grit, a resilience, and you learn to manage time better. So in the process, I am wildly in better shape right now in 10 days because of what it requires. But it's not a fitness program, but the fitness benefits are profound. It requires 2 45-minute workouts a day, which I know. As a fitness pro, we would never say, hey, you should do 2 45-minute workouts. But one of those workouts is outdoors, has to be outdoors. This morning, I worked out outside in the freezing rain, the snow, the ice, with my dog, worked out in that for 45 minutes, and it was exhilarating. Would I have done that in December before this program? No. You know what I would have done? I would have gotten another cup of coffee. Yeah. But this program is helping me overcome those limitations and challenges, and it's really building a sense of, hey, I can do this type of thing. So there you go.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that brings us full circle because it's like how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Yes.
And so if you can do this, you can do other things, and you can execute on other levels, whatever it is. So, wow, thanks for sharing that. That sounds amazing. That sounds, hopefully with those 45 minutes as a flexible warrior, with those 45-minute workouts, they're including recovery and flexibility and all the good things. But if not, I know you're doing it on your own.
Well, yes, and it's your choice, right? So I would say 100%. There are days when you have to listen to your body, and I just need a recovery workout. Well, recovery workouts are great. They're still active, but your body can catch up a little bit. So yes, 100%.
Yes. Yeah, cool. All right, Jimmy, thank you so much. Can you just tell everybody, your website, your social media, how to find you, all the good stuff?
Best way to get to me is at 2 different websites. One is getoneword.com. That's where you can find all the one-word resources. And the other one, my personal site, my speaking and book site, is beunstoppable.live. Beunstoppable.live.
Thank you. Yeah, and all your social media?
Yep, social media is at Jimmy Page 37, at Jimmy Page 37. And, it'll be great to connect with people for sure.
Yeah, awesome. Well, this has been such an inspiration to me. Thank you for helping me hone in on my word. I will take that to the next level now that I have my word. I'm going to, follow through and do the other steps and get myself a journal because I feel like that's going to be the magic, right?
Yeah, you bet.
So we'll connect again soon, Jimmy. Thank you so much. And, keep powering on. I'll be interested to hear and see some of your results from your 72 days. Is it 72?
75. 72 doesn't work. But yes. Hey, Karen, thanks so much. Thankful for our friendship. Thankful for the impact that you have, the inspiration that you are to so many people. Thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. Awesome.
Yeah.
We'll connect again soon.
You got it. God bless you.
Bye.